see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Darrick McGhee.
I am Tikia McGhee.
Another episode of Just the Two of Us. It's been a while.
We're back.
But we're back. Life's been busy.
Yes.
But we are happy to be back. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. We got through a lot.
Yes.
Nothing bad, right? Just had Holy Week and
Easter.
It's Holy Week, Holmes.
Well, I'm just saying.
We had a lot on Easter Sunday, though.
It's a lot.
A lot on Easter Sunday. We had a lot of activities. Thank the Lord for that.
The joys of being married to a pastor. We had sunrise service this year. Woo-hoo!
We had sunrise services here. We did. Activities, just, a lot. Son finished his first year in college.
One time for Jerry Deshaun.
Get him back home and situated and all that type of stuff. So we're back. Thank you for being patient. Happy to be here. So what's new?
What's new? Life is life, and
okay.
Life is busy. We're still going. We're still moving. We're still shaking. I have new beginnings, and I am so excited. I can't tell you right now, but I'm so excited.
That's good to know. Okay. She's excited. Yeah. I love all that.
I'm excited in this season. Allowing God to be in control and not Tikia be in control.
Ooh.
And not allowing fear to paralyze me and hold me back.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
I love that. That's awesome. So today we're going to talk about a few things that I think are just worth talking about, right? They're just listening to us have our normal conversation.
Talk about what we're talking about.
So
You're
we're
right.
Talk about that. And so but I thought about something that I wanted to ask you about that I think is is important. Just be good, kind of just from your perspective.
Okay.
So a while back, there was this big thing on social media, right? Where I don't know, they interview women. I don't know how it all got started, but I saw it where some women had made it known they had a list of the do nots, right? The places the could not, the places you could not take them on the first date. It's a listing of things. They had places on there like, don't take me to Ruth Chris, don't take me to Outback, like Applebee's. They had a list of things where it's like they wanted a 5-star experience. It made me think about, I saw that list, I'm like, we never would have made it. Our first date was at Applebee's.
It was.
Right? So like
2 for $20.
It was a 2 for $20. You couldn't tell me I wasn't
balling out, baby.
Do whatever you want on the menu. Just stay within this little right here.
2 for $20.
Pick one of those right there. And so I thought about that. And so I wanted to ask you, in all sincerity, as a woman who's been committed to one person for 25 years, been married 22 years. Like, people can say, well, Pastor D and Lazy, you don't understand, or just Darrick and Tikia, you don't understand. Y'all ain't dating so long. It's different out here. Okay, and that may be true. Yeah. But I do want to ask you, like, when you think about today's, let's just use the scenario I gave you, right, with this list of you can't take me. What's your initial thoughts on that?
Like, sis, like, what are we doing? Like, why are you expecting a man to take you a place that you won't even take yourself?
Come on, sir. Ma'am.
I'm a lady. Like, I don't understand. I think it's the influence of social media.
Okay.
I think when we were dating, we didn't even have MySpace. We didn't have social media, right? Nope. We was just doing what we was doing.
What we doing.
But I think it is the world now and what people think they need to solidify a relationship, or what looks good on social media for you to never show the man's face, first of all. Okay. For you to take a picture and say, oh, he bought me a Louis. Oh, he took me to Ruth Chris. Okay, but what happens if, God forbid, if he gets sick or something happens to him when he doesn't have the status that he has now? Are you able to stick it out with him? That's the question.
That's really good. So there's those of you who know me know, and some of you don't. I'm a huge hip hop fan, right? I love hip hop, especially West Coast hip hop. But I love hip hop. But one of early 50 Cent songs was 21 Questions. Mm-hmm. He asked a list of questions of a young lady, and maybe I thought about that when you just said that, right? Because he asked a question like, "If I were to fall off, would you still with me? Yeah. Right? If I didn't smell so good, would you still hug me?" Things of that nature. Oh. But I think about stuff like that, right? Because although it's a song, right, it's actually a legit question. Yeah. And so we talked about this in an earlier video. So it's not like we're just, bragging on ourselves, but, we started out nothing, right? At least I didn't. Like, you were living with your mom, right? You
I have nothing. I was living with my mom.
Yeah, but you had a steady, shelter. I was living well beneath, right? Where I was living, you weren't gonna live there. No. You made it very clear to me, like, you got to find somewhere else. That's just funny though how she would come visit me in said place, but she wouldn't live in said place anyway. But the reality of it all is, I thought about the list, right? It made me think about it differently than the list. Now, first of all, I said to myself, thank God I don't have to date in today's time, right? Because I'll be by myself, right? Because for me, when we were starting out dating, I knew I didn't have what was necessary. Right. True story, Tikia was the first person I had ever taken out on an actual date. Or actually like picking them up, driving to a location, things of that nature.
And blowing for them.
I'm gonna get there. Like she was the first person, right? So I didn't know all that, right? It wasn't a thing for me. And so actually like putting in the effort of picking somebody up, taking them to a restaurant, covering the full expense, that wasn't my normalcy, right? Because I just wasn't. I never got into a point relationship, right? Like I dated girls in college, but it was never like we were going out to eat afterwards. Basically, saw each other on campus, things of that nature. It was different. So, like in that regard, going out, I knew I had to pick places that I knew I could afford, right? Regardless as to what she would have wanted, I knew there's certain places I can't go. I'm just not there financially yet to be able to take you to some of these restaurants. I'm talking about restaurants that today we'll walk in there, won't think twice about, but back in the early 2000s, I just couldn't afford to go to these places. And so while you may want that, thankfully, that was never who you were. Yeah. So I think about the list, and what I think about it from the male perspective, that a woman does not have a list of where they will not go unless they have experiences where they've told me, and I'm not going there, and me and said, okay, where do you want to go? Like I've seen videos where a woman, say that she expects a man to pay for her dinner and her friends' dinners. Right, like all these things you see, and to me, it's always interesting. And again, I have to qualify it by saying we've been together for a while, so people think that we don't understand what's going on. I don't think that the length of our dating or marriage should factor into it. Does. I think what it comes down to is the identity of the person. Like, who are you? How do you value yourself? And I do believe that there are times when there are some people who value themselves as royalty, but their finances are insulting you, right? There are other people who can live at that standard and so get taken advantage of. All that to me is always interesting. My concern, I think about whether that list or just think about things in general, is what's the end goal, right? Like for me, Danny Whitfield gave me some of the best advice ever. He said, godson, don't start nothing you can't maintain. Right. Start where you know you are, so you can build somewhere. Don't start out way up here. You got to maintain that standard. And so I started out with 2 for $20, and we enjoyed it, right? And it was in that budget. So I knew when I went in the restaurant, I wasn't sweating trying to figure out, can I cover this expense if it come out there? And then there were times where actually you foot the bill. Yeah. Right. But that's when I knew she was the one. Right. She was buying it. So she alluded to earlier, right? So our first time going on a date, we had a situation going on this date. And, I was going to pick her up from she was staying with her mom in undergrad. I was going to pick her up. And so I said, okay, range time was going to pick her up. So I leave my apartment. I'm like, hey, I'm headed to your place now. She said, okay, cool. And so I'm literally near the place. So my assumption is the phone call was her heads up, okay, come on outside. So I pull into the driveway and she's not outside. So again, my first time ever going on a date with a young lady where I'm actually like picking her up and transporting her. I pull into the driveway, she's not outside, so I blow the horn. And I'm waiting. I see the blinds moving. Somebody's looking out the blinds. So I do like this, and the person doesn't come out, so I blow the horn again. But this time, like, I'm leaning on the horn a little bit longer. when the front door opened. So I sit back in my seat waiting. To my surprise, it wasn't Tikia. It was my mother-in-law. Mama Florence comes to the door, and her look, and she beckoned me to come in. Like, it was very aggressive, like, come in. So I turn the car off. I go inside. Kia's sitting there like some little girl got caught stealing on her test. She's sitting there so nervous. And I walk in and I say, hey, Miss Florence, how you doing? She said, baby, come on, sit down. I sit down. She was like, listen. She was like, I'm almost quoted. She was like, listen, I know you and my daughter are into each other and I'm happy for you guys. But don't you ever come to my house and blow your horn. Have enough respect for me to park your car and come in and say hi. And I was like, yes, ma'am. I'm looking at Kia, like with this look in my, like, so I'm like, yes, ma'am. I apologize. Again, now, I don't have anything to compare this to, right? So what I'm doing, I don't think is wrong.
Right.
Her mom is educating me on that's not what you're supposed to do as a gentleman. I apologize. Kia and I leave. It's a very awkward initial exchange in the car. I'm like, dude, why you just come out? I'm completely missing what her mom just told me in the car, or in the house. I mean, I'm like, why you just come out? And but that statement from my mother-in-law also had to train me, right? Is how do you see your woman, right? So you know, I have been dating young ladies prior to Kia where a blow of the horn, that'd come right out. Mm. And here's the thing, what she being sedity, if it were not for her mother, she probably would have come out.
But I'm grateful for my mom.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, did he just blow for you? Oh, no, ma'am, you're not going nowhere. You can't have a seat. I was like, well, mommy outside. She said, no, he's going to come inside and get you.
And I didn't, listen, it wasn't like a blow of disrespect. I just didn't know anything better. Now, the funniest part of the story was the next day, I'm on the phone with my mom. She was like, well, how'd the date go? I said, Mom, you ain't gonna believe this. So I told her what happened. Mama Florence, all that. My mom said, she did what? Who she thinks she is? My mom was upset. I said, I didn't tell the part about the horn being blown. She was like, well, tell me what happened. I walked her through it. I said, Mom, I pulled up and I blew the horn. She was like, you did what? I said, I blew the horn. She was like, oh, my baby, that embarrassed me. And my mom likes living in California, right? But she was like, you did not blow the horn. Again, information worth knowing beforehand. I realized in all of that I needed to up my game, but there was wisdom teaching me, not scolding me, but teaching me that there's a standard by which you have to operate and you come to this house. And so we both had to mature with her mom, like, sit your tail down, young man, you come in here and speak to everybody. So from that day forth, I would always get out the car, because we were hurrying or not, to speak. Now, if you compare that to everything else, for me, you have to ask the question of where's the wisdom? Who's the voice that's giving you wisdom and giving you counsel, which is why I've always appreciated older people around me, because there's just sound counsel they give you. It's sometimes as simple as, maybe just slow down some. You're doing too much, right? Maybe you ain't got to say everything. Stuff like that. Yeah. So I think about that listing. So let's use our current context, future. Mm-hmm. All right. We have a daughter, we have a son, right? So you and your son, our son, but your son in this situation, y'all have conversation about today's young ladies. You ain't got to divulge anything confidential, but what counsel from your wisdom are you giving him as a male who may be pursuing young ladies about today's young ladies, or just in general, counsel you're giving him?
Be a gentleman.
Always. At
all times. And even moments when I'm laughing, I'm smiling, because when we went out to eat today, like, I love my son. He's a typical young man. Like, he just here to eat, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, son, and I think I just said it, like, son, when you take out on a date, don't do that. Don't do your bread stick like that in the play. I know you with us, but don't do that. And I think sometimes today's times are missing those nuggets where we can give our kids, right?
Okay.
And so they're out there watching social. I know you're tired of me talking about social media.
I'm not.
They're watching these videos on social media and thinking it's okay for me to just treat her any kind of way. But also, young ladies have to realize their worth. Because when you realize that you are worth more than somebody blowing for you and you just running out the house, or that you are worth more, like, you are putting... Sometimes I feel like the young ladies today put unnecessary pressures on guys that they didn't even get from their fathers, right?
Ooh, that's good.
So they're demanding these guys to take them places that your daddy didn't even take, that their daddy didn't even take them.
Okay, so let me pause you and actually add that. And I agree with that. But what if that daddy was never around though? So like Tania has the benefit of me setting bars and standards and expectations. But what if she never had it, right? So now she's trying to.
That's a great question. Well, I love my dad, but he wasn't around. But when Uncle Stacy came in town, he was that guy.
Okay.
So I feel like sometimes there are moments, teachable moments that we can get from other male figures that are in our life, but we don't want to sit down long enough to have a conversation with them or listen to them.
Yeah,
because it becomes old fashioned.
I agree with that. I think there's something that needs to be said on record from a male's perspective, right? Because I don't disagree with anything you say, but I think there's something. I think you mentioned about the word pressure you put on guys. I think some of that pressure they put on guys may not be from the young lady. It could be from the women that's been in her life, right? Teaching her and training her. For example, right, when we knew people when we were first getting married who got married after us, where they had separate bank accounts and did things separately because they were told, like, you have money aside just in case y'all don't work out, right? The what if accounts, things of that nature. But why is that counsel being given? Because people they're around who are older than them have done it, right? And so now, if that's only the counsel you've been getting all your life, right? And so for me with our son, you talk about today's example as far as eating, I always laugh because I look at it different than you look at it, right? I think he's just very comfortable and relaxed around his family and around family members where he don't think about that. I think also it's different between men and women at his age, right? He's 19. Like he's still high schoolish, not by way of immaturity. He's just life is just fun. There's no real pressures upon him, right? So he's not looking for his wife at 19, right? And lady may be looking for her forever, but in that regard, like he's more like his father, and that he's never been on a date. Like well, that's not true. He's been on some dates. I don't think he thinks about it like that. I don't worry about him going out and doing what he did. I think he's just really relaxed. But the blessing about him is he's just who he is. Which is why if you're around him, you love him because that's just who he is, right? He makes every situation just comfortable and relaxing. He finds humor in everything. He's a typical pastor's kid, right? Because they find so much comedy in church. You can cut them off after church is over. They saw things during the church service you didn't see, and they repeat it, right? And they act it out, and it's all fun. I think that's just who he is. But I do concern myself with, go to where I said the word counsel, right? Like who's the counsel in that ear, right? You think about those type of things. You had good and or bad, right? Doesn't really matter. You had some level of a model in front of you. You also have an older sister. I do. Right? You got to think about. I had an older brother, right? So some of the things I learned from either watching him do it well or do it poorly. I knew what to do and what not to do based on my mom's reaction to it, based on the consequences he went through, whatever it may be. There's some counsel in that.
And what mama didn't catch, big sister called.
Exactly. Yes. So they give you counsel. Yes. There are some young people out there, male and female, that literally they're on the job training. They're just trying to learn as they go, right? Trying to experience it as they go. Which is why I try not to be critical of young people who have kids early. As people say out of wedlock, because you could spend a lot of time judging them and criticizing them. The fact of the matter is the baby's here now. The baby's here. And there are some of them that have no training on how to raise a child. And so right, that you may not let your child come out the house looking like that, but that's not your child. But how do you meet that person and help them grow to a place where they see themselves larger than their everyday context? So when you go back to like the listing I mentioned at the very beginning, right? I wonder at our initial dating ages if we were as mature as we think we were about certain situations, right? Like when it came down to going out to eat, we weren't going to splurge because the money wasn't there to splurge. Yeah. Right. It just wasn't there. Yeah. So my poverty kept me humble and stayed within a lane that I knew if I mishandled this amount of money, it affects everything. I was on a strict budget. How much I was going to bring in every paycheck, what my bills were. If I could not go out to eat. We ate sometimes at the house. I spent a lot of time at your mama's house getting spoiled and sent home with Tupperware. Like, thank God for all of that, right? The struggle was real. Yeah. So we look back and we see things and thank God that we matured and there's growth there. But I'm often wondering, like I think about times where, life hit us hard early in our marriage and we had to make some major adjustments, things that our parents never told us about or could prepare us for. It just happens in life, right? Like when you buy a house and all of a sudden you have the money left over, right? Like we got tested. I think what's protected our marriage early on was number one, the hand of God. Absolutely, I don't take the credit that. But number two, I think is we really had a real friendship, and friends stay with each other through thick and thin, right? So we stuck it out. It's not lost on me that we were struggling early in our marriage in the city where you were born and raised. So you could have left. Or you could have gone to your mama house and many times and ate there and left me to figure it out. And you actually drew closer, and so we're gonna figure this out together. And there were times I'm like, she probably should go on her mom for a little bit and let me figure out how we gonna pay these bills. And I never forced you out, but you would say things that was like, we in this together. And I'm just like, dude, you got the comfort of your mama's house. That door is always gonna be open to you. And listen, I probably could have gone with you. I'm not gonna say I couldn't have. My pride wouldn't let me go. I'm like that now.
Yes.
Hurricane season.
Oh my God.
Electricity goes out. We ain't had a shower in 2 days, right? All of a sudden, my little say, "Hey, come to my house, hot water." I'm not leaving my house.
I'm staying here. Okay, then.
I'm staying here because I'm believing God, my life's gonna come on, right?
I believe God with you with a hot shower. Goodbye.
But it's just, I think about that, and so I try not to be overly critical, and I'll see things. But if counsel is sought, I always say this in our premarital counseling session to people. Or somebody to find their flow in marriage, right? Like the danger, and I want to talk about this, the danger of marital comparisons. Ooh. So I don't know if we ever compared our marriage to anybody. I know I did. I don't think we ever had a conversation, but you see things in marriages that either, maybe worth emulating or you criticize, but the reality of it all is why are you frowning your face like that?
What? I'm listening to you. My face is frown.
You have that. She makes facial expressions.
I'm sorry.
But it's a situation where there are people who are in traps because they're doing marital comparisons. They from the outside, everything goes well. We had it happen. This one time, somebody said that either you or me or both of us, I wish I had a marriage like you and Pastor D. And you quickly said what?
You. Like that. I'm saying when I talk to young ladies. They're like, but old Lady T, I said, listen, you catch Lady T on the wrong day, this mouth can be reckless. And I know it.
Every day ending wine.
You don't know what laughing. I don't like it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not perfect. And when you start comparing yourself to other people's marriage, you start idolizing them, right? And when you start idolizing them, they become your God. Like your marriage is not supposed to look like someone else's marriage. You won't have the same income as somebody. You won't have the same amount of kids. Your financial status won't be the same as somebody else's. So while you're trying to build a house because they bought a house, or buy a car because they bought a car, start a business because they started a business, or do this because they're doing it, you're going to always lose.
Yeah, that's good.
Because you're outside of God's will, first of all, because that's not God's will for your life. Because you're trying to live somebody else's life in your current life, and you can't do that.
That's really good. Yeah. Marital comparisons is a trap.
It is.
Right? It's a trap. My Uncle Floyd, whom I love, he's my favorite. Uncle Floyd gave me some counsel very early on about, people always say the grass is always green on the other side. He said, nephew, your grass can get green too if you spend time in it. Right? Like if you cultivate and you water in the nature, you can have the same green grass. His main point he's trying to teach his nephew is don't spend so much time looking at next door neighbors. Focus on your own. Right? Stay in your lane, in your business. Put the time in where you are. Right? I had the luxury of watching a lot of people in my family mess up. It's just not judgment, it's just a reality, right? Mess up in some way or another. And I was able to say, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. But also in their mess ups, they would actually tell me. Like my uncle and I talk often. Like he would never withhold from me the mistakes he made. He would talk to me about it, but also would say, nephew, don't do that. Or he would give me really good counsel. But because of his status in my life, his voice matters to me, so I would listen. And there were some people try to give good counsel, we just don't want to listen to them.
That's true.
That happens
That's
as
true.
well, right?
That's
So
true.
you got to think about it from that standpoint. So the second thing I wanted to ask you, take the list away. So before I started pursuing you, have you ever had, let me say it actually this way, have you ever had the automatic disqualifiers for dating and or marriage? The things that I have zero tolerance for this.
I think because I was so young, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't think about. I feel like more seasoned people, like working professionals, have a list, right? Because I might be wrong. Some people, it might be image for some people, right? So if I work downtown at the Capitol, I may not want a blue collar guy, right? Because I don't know how he gonna show up when we have to go to events.
Show up as
Right.
himself. Yeah.
Right. So I think the list comes the older you mature and the older you get and the more settled you are.
Yeah, but I'm talking about it from different angles. So, like, let me tell you, I'll use me for example.
Okay.
So, I had disqualifiers,
You
right?
do?
And it wasn't my disqualifiers were things like, I can't be with someone who's a compulsive liar, right? Because if I can't trust your word to mean anything, listen, when you've had people in your life that lie a lot, right? As you just liars make me uncomfortable, right? So to me, I'm like disqualifier. I can't have people in my life who don't respect my mother. Like I can't date nobody and pursue somebody in the future when you don't appreciate who my mom is. Like we're too close, right? Like my mom is never going to intrude in our marriage, and we can attest to that, right? Like she's gonna love whoever I'm with, but she's never gonna just forcibly put herself in demand that I pick her over my wife. That's never happened or will happen. The same point, I expect you to respect my mother. I know my mom's gonna respect you, right? I mean, I'm talking about from that standard, right? So I had those disqualifiers. So the liar thing to me was just like, I don't care how pretty you are, if you are a liar. Another disqualifier thing is funny is I can't do the bad breath. Y'all listen. Listen to me, man. Like I always said this. You ought to know if your breath smell, right? It comes out of you first, right? It should hit me, and I'm saying good morning. Like it just shouldn't happen, right? So that some of it.
Morning is different.
No, I'm not saying like morning breath.
Okay.
You shouldn't have morning breath at 11 o'clock in the morning. No. Listen, drink some more water. But I'm talking about from that standpoint of like for example, like some people have a list of no, can't do no cheaters, can't do no abusers. Talking about list from that standpoint. So you never had.
I don't think I even thought about that.
Wow, you had real faith.
I
in
think
the Lord.
I was just a hopeless romantic. I just wanted somebody to love me.
Man, please, love hurts sometimes. I need people. I need to like right. And
I wasn't. But let me say this.
Yes, please.
Because I didn't date a lot. I'm not saying you dated a lot. Because I didn't date a lot.
Exactly what you're saying. Exactly what you're saying.
Because I didn't date a lot, I didn't think about it. I didn't. I'm being honest. I just didn't think about it.
Okay, that's fair.
You were number two. I just didn't think about
That's fair. Yeah, I just again, it's some of us actually played the field. We didn't do nothing dangerous. We just played the field, and you figured out. Listen, you could play the field and have a conversation with somebody and realize, yeah, this ain't gonna work out. For me, what really saved me from making a lot of mistakes before I met you, honestly, was my mom. My mom was living in California. I was in school in Tallahassee. I would call home at least 3 times a week. I would always call on Sundays, right? My mom wanted to know where I went to church and what the pastor preached about. She wanted all that type of stuff. And I remember one time telling my mom, like, hey, mom, I met this young lady. Her first words was, yeah, that ain't gonna work out. She ain't even met the young lady before. That ain't gonna work out. What do you mean ain't gonna work out? I don't think I'm gonna like her. Never even met the young lady. This is a true story. My mom is watching this video. Tikia is the first and only female I ever dated that my mom actually from the beginning said I like her.
I got it.
I'm literally, that's not an exaggeration. My mom, and she was never like critically judgmental. She was like, no, that ain't gonna work out. My spirit just ain't right about her. Now, whatever it may be, those type of things. But with Tikia, Can't even met her yet. It's my description of her.
The oil on my life. Yes, Lord.
This is the moment when my son will get up and walk off camera. Right. He thinks his mom has the corniest jokes.
Well, that's fine.
You try to stick it out, and she just.
That's fine. Rock and roll.
She's complete all by herself.
It is.
Yeah. So, but that's what it was. Like my mom was like, no. So she really allowed me to kind of just back up and say, okay, look at things. And one thing she would always think about was, Darrick, you keep thinking about right where you are. I need you to start thinking about life beyond the current moment. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Is this the person you still find yourself with 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? Do you actually see a future with this person? Do you want this person being the mother of your children? Like things that I'm not thinking about in the moment. My mom's like, you gotta think about stuff like this. Like you're gonna have a child with somebody you can't stand. Right? It has to be more than sex, son. And it was those conversations. I'm like, wow. And then the second person was Mom Mary. Mom Mary, who I talk about a lot. Mom Mary was blind, but she meant so much to me and still does. My mom, one of my mom's elder sisters, the two of them, right, in their own different ways, will give counsel to me, right? Because I've always been big faith, dreamer, grinder, go get it guy. Mom Mary was the one always trying to tell me, nephew, slow down. Like you slow down. You gotta pace yourself. Right? My mom, so think about the future. But if you believe God's gonna let you do that thing, is that young lady gonna be able to go with you? And start thinking like, I don't know, right? And so if somehow Tikia was just different. She hadn't even met us. When they finally met, she became the daughter my mom always wanted. And to the point, like they would talk on the phone, and I wouldn't even know about it.
You mad?
I'm not mad at all. I'm actually very, very grateful. It could be the other way around. It could be that y'all can't stand each other.
Yeah.
I'm very, very grateful for your relationship. But my point of all that is when you always tell me a woman knows a woman, like my mom just knew things. Some of those young ladies, my mom said, no, I don't keep up with anybody from my past. That's just not my nature. But I've seen some of them periodically, in the course of life, whatever. And I'm very grateful because my mom saw something, whether it was, I don't know what it was, but she saw something. And I'm grateful for that. And so go back to that word counsel, right? There's counsel around you. If you heed the counsel, it can spare you in that regard. So I do think about today's generation. Does our generation and those even before us actually make conscious investments in? Or do we just spend time judging everything they do? Right? There are some people, right? There's the Bishop William Murphy says that some things are taught and some things are caught. Right? There's something people catch by just watching everything you do. Some things that you intentionally sit them down and you teach them so that they don't make the mistakes that you made. From that, for our children, right? I would hope that we think about our daughter. I would hope that the model she wants to emulate is living at home with her.
Right.
I would hope that. Same with our son, right? I would want that. I want my son to be able to call me about anything, say, Daddy, that a young lady, whatever it may be, right? The gentleman thing, he knows, like I'm all about being, we open the door. Like I have this standard, we go, before us go somewhere, he knows, get your sister's door or your mom's door, I get the other person's door. Like, it's a standard for me. We're going to open the door for them. Like that old school stuff that most people today don't want to deal with anymore, right?
Right.
On a future episode, I want to talk about that, I've seen this enough today where there's been some young people, young women who get offended when young men open their door. Or I recently said yes, ma'am, to somebody and they got offended by it. Now, I was raised this way.
Yeah.
Right? But in today's time, people don't want you calling them ma'am. They say ma'am means that they're old. I'm like, listen, I was raised to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And so I'm not going to change my upbringing because you feel some type of way. Like it's at the highest level of respect.
Yeah.
But I see that's it's a standard being lowered. And for whatever reason, I would love to get your perspective on that. Before we wrap, though, anything you want to say?
No, like this has been good. Yeah. We need to talk about that next time.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Because we have to lead by example. And I think in today's times we're not leading by example.
I would agree.
We're leading and posting.
Ooh.
That's what we're doing.
Ooh, I like that. Leading and posting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So listen, I'm Darrick McGhee.
I am Tikia McGhee.
Another episode of just the two of us. We'll make sure next time we won't be gone so long.
We won't be gone that long.
But we can't promise you guys that it won't happen again, because life be happening, right? And
be life.
There it is. And we are busy, and
yeah.
God bless us, have a lot of things going on and more things to come. We'll talk about in future episodes, but we try to make sure that we try to let these 2 weeks go by without doing something. So, but thank you all for those who have texted us and saying, where's the next episode? We hope that this will meet your standard. But I appreciate you. That means people actually are watching, right, and enjoying it. And we're not trying to be anybody other than who we are,
Darrick
right?
And Tikia.
I'm wearing my white tee like I always do. And she's wearing her Lord, please don't let nobody try me today in Jesus' name shirt.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
I don't know if they think that in Jesus' name actually makes the statement any less harsh. Like, it's a harsh statement.
Yeah, no, but in Jesus' name.
But why is it so small at the bottom if it really matters to you? Like, everything else is bold.
Thank you all for watching.
We love y'all. Remember, y'all, marriage is honorable in all. The bed is undefiled. Work for your marriage. Find your flow. Blessings to all of you.
See you later.
I can't imagine life without you, baby, by my side. That I'm feeling, I'm hoping you're feeling the same. Things tend to slip my mind, like oh, you're like the one in 90, baby. Ooh, according to the way that we feel. Have I told you